855-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers Policy Perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available at select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate.
AFFI is Middle Tennessee's premier choice for pest, wildlife, and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glenrose Lane in Smyrna.
My wife and I enjoy going by Yard Sale Inc. We usually go to both locations, the one in Smyrna as well as the one in Murfreesboro. A lot of times on Saturday mornings we stop by, and their inventory changes weekly, so you never know what you're going to see, and it's mostly open box. The name fits it. It's exactly that. It's a yard sale. If you don't totally agree with the price, the staff is always friendly and nice and willing to work with you.
That's the Yard Sale store in Smyrna at 111 Enon Springs Road West, in Murfreesboro at 204 South Front Street, and online at bestdealintown.com.
Hi, this is Allie Dowenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
Are you concerned with the state of America, your state, and your community? Then you're in the right place. This is the Rutherford Magazine Show with host Mike Sparks. He and guests are here to talk local politics, history, faith, and freedom.
All right, so this is the Rutherford Magazine Show. I'm your host, Mike Sparks. Didn't know if I was going to make it here on time. Jackson, how you been doing? Doing good? Jeremy, our trusted intern. Jeremy, how you doing?
Doing good.
Yeah, and I've got guest Francis Rosales. Did I say it right?
Yes, you said it correctly. Rosales.
And you've got your husband,
I do.
Joshua, and then
our little girl.
You let your little baby come up on the air.
You want to say hi, Ellie? No, what? She's being a little shy right now. I told her she had to, if she's going to be here,
hey,
she has
hello.
to be really quiet. And
She
she doesn't want to say hi.
I've got away with kids. They love me.
You've got the magic touch.
No. Yeah. We got that new grandbaby, man.
Oh,
I'm
you do?
excited. Yeah. Her name's Grace. You know, she's going to be a year old next month.
Oh, she is? Wow.
Yeah. It's, I told you my mom died in December.
Mm-hmm.
I never shed a tear. The Lord, she was ready to go. The Lord prepared her.
Mm-hmm.
And I made, you heard me talk about the bill, Amazing Grace, make it the official state hymn. And the Lord took care of that. And, it was written by a slave ship captain. A lot of people don't know their history, which is one reason I wanted to run it. And I was playing Amazing Grace, and my mom's, her breathing calmed down. My wife was administering the medicine and everything, and she was at hospice care. And I literally watched my mom calm down. I watched her moans calm down, and she passed the next day.
Wow.
And then my son's wife went into premature labor and named the baby Grace.
Wow.
And it had nothing to do with the hymn, I can promise you. Anyways, it didn't hit me till probably 4 days later. I happened to tell somebody the name, and they kept saying, "Man, that's amazing! Your baby going premature labor and all." And I said, "Oh, the name of the baby is Grace." And they kept saying amazing.
Wow. That's pretty cool, though.
But I call that confirmation. I didn't really have anything going on this week. I called you, Francis, to see if you wanted to join me, because you called me, about if you want to get into that, the letter grade
We can.
system, and how, I talked to Clara Maxwell earlier. She had some concerns about it. It's not administered fairly, I guess. And can you explain why?
Well, we can definitely talk about it. I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on in the education world in regards to when you guys go back to legislation upcoming in January. There's just still a lot of focus on school. But this particular issue with the letter grade A through F stems from the state law that was passed back in 2016. I believe that's when the statute was
16.
passed. But there's been a delay in actually implementing. It was supposed to be implemented in 1 year. I think it was 18 or 19, but they didn't do that because of the test. There were some issues with the vendor and the testing, so we didn't test that year for the achievement scores for TCAP. And then of course COVID came.
Yes.
And that also delayed implementing the law as well and getting a scorecard letter grade because of the learning loss that happened in 20.
Yes.
And then that became the excuse in 21 and 22. And then now we're in 2023, the school year that just started, and we've got a new commissioner who, for the Department of Education, who is literally leading the way in changing how we go about measuring achievement for every school. And now they are changing that. For those of you who are listening and they're not familiar, how we grade achievements and score it is really based on growth. You look at two things. You look at absolute growth, which means you get all of it. Absolute achievement. I'm so sorry, not growth. Absolute achievement means you get the whole points because you scored on that. Or you look at the growth within your school and see how your students, if they show some growth, then you get partial scoring for that. And then they're divided into 5 different levels. The higher up you go in the levels, then the better your school is at. So 1 through 5. And this year, Rutherford County, the whole county scored a level 5 score, which is amazing. That means that a lot of our schools, our students are showing growth in multiple different areas. There's several indicators that they look at, and so we're growing. Our students are showing some significant gains.
Yeah. So basically, just to summarize for listeners, the state's letter grade legislation is intended to provide kind of a snapshot of how each school has performed during the previous academic year. So compare those results over time.
So now, like I said, there's been a lot of debate, especially on Twitter, about the way that the now scorecard is going to be changed. So instead of looking at rewarding growth, it's going to be absolute achievement, meaning you have to show achievement on your schools. Well, the problem with that is that depending on where the school is located on the demographics, there's going to be some schools that are going to always get a high grade, a letter grade of an A.
Yeah.
But if you are in a school in an area where it's not as affluent, maybe you do have a higher percentage of free and reduced lunch or English learners, whatever demographic there is, then the possibility of that school scoring an A may not be as a high probability. It'll be a lower grade. So so the complaint has been that because we're looking at the growth, we're not really telling parents the truth about where the school stands academically. And so they're switching through from the levels of 1 through 5 to A through F, because that is the best way that we can communicate to parents what they can't understand when you say this school is an F or this school is an A or this school is a B. That is the best way.
I had a teacher
score it.
It was someone texted me or called me or something here this week, I believe it was, and they had so many students that couldn't even speak English.
Right.
How common is that?
So here in Rutherford County, we are seeing a drastic increase of English learner students coming to the county. This year alone, we're at 7,000.
English is like a second language?
English
That
is
sort
a
of thing?
second language. Sorry. I'm getting the two acronyms bumping in together because you've got EL and ESL. Okay, so in the world of education, there's a lot of acronyms. It seems like they get tired of saying the whole thing and they just create a new acronym. So EL means English learners, ESL means English as a second language, as a program. So we have a lot of students that English is not their predominant language. And so this year alone, it's 7,000 kids that are coming to Rutherford County. In the last 10 years, we've seen an increase of 114% of English as a second language students. And so when you have a school, which we have one particular high school, is at 42% where the kids are English as a second language.
Wow.
So
That's the north end of the county.
yes.
Is
that
Roy Waldron?
No, this is high school. But no,
Oh,
it's
okay.
not Roy Waldron.
Oh.
Like Smyrna High School. It's a great school, but the demographics are just a tad bit different. And kudos to Smyrna High. They're doing amazing things to try to help the kids that are not English speakers. They're doing some modifications to that, and I absolutely think they're doing a really, really good job with their program in there. But a school like Smyrna may get penalized because some of their kids in these indicators, they may not achieve where they're supposed to at grade level because English is not their dominant language. So they have a language barrier that they have to overcome in order to succeed. And so, so with the funding with TISA that we just got, and by the way, I always praise you guys and saying thank you so much for changing that formula, so that we can get more money. We are getting more
there was
money.
an inflation. How many millions of dollars? 48.
It's close to $50 million that we got this year, and next year we may get even more money because we got more students
Because the money
coming in.
basically follows the child.
The money follows the
so
child.
special ed.
Special
You have
eds,
more.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Is there a factor on the ESL? Is there a factor there that follows?
Yeah.
the
So
child?
yes. So obviously everyone gets a base, and I think it's around $9,000 is the base, and then you've got a tier called unique learnings, and that's where you've got the English as a second language, your EL students, the special needs, and your gifting students as well. And for the English the English learners are considered special populations. So they're depending on how much money they get for being in that tier is also weighted upon which tier they are. So it's tier 1, 2, and 3. So there's 3 tiers that a child can fall into that category, and then we can get more money. So with that being said, that's why I called you, because right now with the statute, that does not include exemptions of just like what we did third grade promotion retention. There are exemptions where we're excluding students from that statute. Well, then I'm advocating that we include exemptions to that statute, to go back and amend that and add exceptions so that we can exclude the English learners from the formula, so that the school will not get dinged for that performance.
Is it probably Davidson County that has the highest amount of immigrants, and then we would be maybe second? Do you know?
No, I think it's Davidson, Shelby.
As far as immigrant population? Okay. Well, it does kind of handcuff the growth in general handcuffs the county commission, handcuffs y'all. There's a lot of unique challenges out there.
They are, yeah. And we seem to be growing constant. I mean, just go down even Broad Street, where before it turns into Murfreesboro Road, and you see growth.
Yeah.
You see developments everywhere.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, they cleared a whole path over between Single Road and the A40 ramp.
Yeah.
Oh,
There's
yeah, I know
a
what you're talking
huge
about. Yeah.
development that's about to come up, and that's just within the last 3 months.
Yeah.
Man, they've got an apartment complex in Laverne.
Right.
Right there. If folks know that's where we did the revival with John DeBerry, Grace Church. near the rescue squad back in there, and man, it's a monstrosity. And then there's another one over there by the racetrack, across from Lowe's. That's huge.
That's huge.
But it looks like it's going to be a really nice development that can tie into Montlow College.
Yeah.
With their some walking and shopping there.
I didn't think about that. That could be like dorms.
Yeah.
Quote unquote dorms,
they will need it. But have y'all had any kind of dialogue with the new commissioner of education, Lizette Reynolds?
So I have had a conversation with Lizette, and she seems like a very lovely lady.
Yeah.
It was our very, you must understand, it was our very, very first conversation. It was a very short conversation. I had only 30 minutes.
Did you do a Zoom with the school board or anything?
Well, here's the thing. In our conversation, I invited her to come down to Rutherford County, and she's accepted that invitation.
Did she really?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Yeah. So right now I am in communication with her office to coordinate a time for her to come down and visit. And in fact, I told her that I was going to be hosting the visit for her, and I was going to invite you guys, the state delegation and our county commissioners and our school board.
They get kind of nervous.
Do they?
Yes, I think they do.
Why?
You remember Brian Terry put that event together? What was it, last year?
Yeah, the town hall with
on the third grade retention.
Pinchwin. Yeah. Well, I think that was a good thing.
Well,
that we
it's
had
a good thing,
hall.
but and I love Brian to death. Brian's a great guy. I just feel like it should have been more interactive with the commissioner. She had it. She was very protective.
Sure. Well, I mean,
like it should have been opened up where each school board member should have been able to ask a question.
But I think it was because of the time, and so that's why they asked the questions that way. But the format was geared that way. But here,
it's better than nothing.
It was better than nothing, and I think there was a lot of answers that got cleared up that day.
I talk about weird. I call them God wink moments, synchronicities, strange coincidences. I had J.C. Bowman with Professional Educator Tennessee on the air with me. J.C.'s he's really a great guy, very passionate, and a Marine. Not a former Marine, but a Marine. I was corrected before by some Marines. He corrected me.
You tend to get corrected quite a bit.
It's got.
When we were,
you're not like X. You're still in the military. The way he looks at it,
But you tend to be corrected all the time.
When you are willing to speak up, people sometimes may want to try to do that. You know what I mean?
Well, no, not corrected like in a bad way. Corrected in some of the things. Like when we went to Smyrna Primary, which was a school that you've been there before. You forgot the name of it. It was funny.
I didn't forget the name of it. What are you talking about? The name of the school? Hell, I live right there. I played over there.
And you know what I mean?
No, I got to recognize the janitor. He was there 40 years.
Yeah.
No, I preached his brother's funeral. His brother passed.
Did?
Paul Judd passed 2 years ago. And he died of COVID.
Sad. Oh, wow.
Died of
How
COVID.
sad.
Yeah. But I was going to tell you about JC. JC was on the air with me, and I was appointed to education, and I didn't ask to be on education.
Okay.
The education committee at the legislature, man, it is always just, I don't want to say controversial, but it's always such backbiting and fighting and. I'm like, well, I want to be on commerce and other areas where you're moving forward with solutions. You've been able to enact things that's going to tweak and improve areas. Education, man, you're just beating your head up against the sand. But what was wild is JC knew I was appointed, and he was literally on the radio, and I really didn't know Penny Schwinn that much. I mean, and he didn't like. I'm just being straight up. He didn't like Penny Schwinn. I mean,
there were some people that didn't like her.
Yeah, and but you know what? When he was literally criticizing her off the air to me.
Oh wow!
And I felt my phone kind of like have a little ring to it. I looked down at my phone. It was Penny Schwinn. Text me. She's like, "Hey, can you meet with me?" And I showed her my phone. And said, "Man, look at this. What's the odds of this happening?"
So you're saying you're going to get a call from the new commissioner?
Well, I met her. You know what I told her?
What did you tell her?
Bless your heart.
Aww,
because man,
that is so sweet.
That is such a tough. Well, she seems really sweet.
I will have to say, our conversation, she seemed like a very lovely person. But there's just a lot of anxiety right now because of the changes that are happening, and they're happening really, really, really fast. And I think one of the main complaints is that what I'm gathering is that some of the key people and the key players are not being asked to come into the conversation. And so when that is not happening, that just creates a lot of fear and just angst and just a lot of trust. Like there's no trust there. And so I don't know. I don't want to say too much, but I think
you gotta
that
have,
cultivates that.
You know, I was at y'all's school board meeting, 2 months ago?
I think so.
And I brought up mental health.
Oh, that's right.
It's a
Yes,
serious
you did.
issue.
Oh, yes.
And it's off the charts. I don't know why. Anxiety across the board is high.
Absolutely.
I mean, even if you don't talk education, it's how people deal with traffic, how property taxes. You know, I told my wife to check on a lady that we're friends with. Sadly, she lost her son in a car wreck. I had to be the one to call her, and she was just on my mind, and my wife said, well, she hadn't answered me. Try to call her. So I left her a message, and she called this morning and said she got laid off.
Aww.
She said the Lord must have had me calling her. And so there's anxiety all over. But the mental health problem, and with that, my understanding with the new TISA model is y'all were able to get a little bit more counselors.
We did. We got a little bit
that.
more counselors, and then we are looking at expanding like a capstone. I think it's capstone or certain. I always get those two names incorrect.
There's so much.
It's either capstone or centerstone, but I know one of the names is correct.
Yes.
But it's an independent mental health provider that comes into our Centerstone.
Yeah,
Okay, Centerstone that comes in, and they have. First of all, what's good about Centerstone is that parents have to authorize their child to be seen by them. So if you're a parent and you don't authorize that, then that will not happen.
But y'all are doing that.
We're looking into expanding it.
Okay.
So we've gotten a couple of our schools.
With the parents' consent.
With the parents' consent, and my understanding is that if they're seen by the child, if a child is seen by Centerstone, then they have to tell that to the parent.
Yeah.
What they did that day and whatever reason. I think that is going to be part of a service that will coupled with whatever plan that the child may have with behavior, or maybe they may not have a plan for behavior. Yeah. But one thing that I've noticed, I am a substitute teacher in a different
and I applaud
district.
you for that in Murfreesboro City School.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that okay to say?
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. And I have seen, it's opened my eyes to a lot of things, because when I first ran for school board, I was coming in it from the point of view of a parent with a child in the system. And I still have a child in the system, and I'm going to have a child in the system for a very long time. But then coming in as a school board member and then stepping into the classroom, it's opened my eyes into
should that be,
many different things.
This is off, I'm just jumping over.
I know what you're going to say.
You know what, you read my mind. Go ahead and say it.
And I'm going to say absolutely.
Yeah.
I almost think
it's funny
that
how you're reading
it should
my
be
mind.
a prerequisite for you to run for school board, because you're making decisions for the people that are going to be in the classroom teaching for children. And so you get an understanding.
Well, I hear that from teachers.
Yeah. And I want to say something about the teachers and principals, but I'm going to finish this thought before I jump into a different tangent. But with the behavior, I've seen kids, I've been in classrooms where the kids have different temperaments, and they're from all over the scale, and you've got 20-something kids, and you have to teach all of them at the same time, and you have to deal with all of these temperaments. It's a very it's not an easy job. It's very challenging, and you have some kids that just are ready to throw a tantrum, just like a toddler, but worse, because a little bit older. And so those are the kind of things that teachers go through in a day in and day out. And then on top of that, we're also tasking them that they have to perform at this level, because now we're putting state mandates on it. You've got third grade state mandate where kids have to read at a third grade level. There's this also rumor that they're going to put this math mandate as well, which is something I'm going to be talking to you, by the way. Not today, though. And then you've got the A through F letter grade, and so there's a lot of stress.
That's all. I mean, it's always a battle. That's why I've been saying we need to meet more often.
Yes.
I called Dr. Sullivan's office.
Oh, good.
Well, I didn't call him personally. We did a meeting about 2 years ago about, and the letter grade was brought up. Chairman Spicky was in, and I think Todd Warner from Lewisburg come by, and several school board members, and I forgot the lady that was there, taller lady, doctor or something.
Chastain? Dr. Martin?
I can't remember, but anyway, she was really nice, and we discussed that, and you know that was my old high school, and it's a totally different school. My wife was, I think, PTO vice president there. My wife dedicated 8 years of her life to our kids.
Oh, wonderful.
To our kids' education, and now, do you still have much involvement of PTO like we did back in the day?
Oh, yes. We've got PTOs at different elementary
What
schools
about
and middle
the Title I
schools.
schools? You have a lot of that?
We do. Well, not a lot, but we do have, specifically in Title I, we do have PTOs. I think they're a little bit stronger as the kids are younger. I don't really see them as much as
When
they get older.
Yeah. Is there a central coordinator with that with the office?
No, that is just something that's totally independent within the school.
Yeah.
But I was with the PTO 2 weeks ago with Blackman Elementary School because I actually went there to help them out with the boot grams, and they were talking about that. How can we get a place where other PTOs can get together and collaborate and bring ideas and brainstorm? Because some PTOs are struggling right now just to get not just volunteer, but engagement and participation.
Well, you Title I schools, a lot of those parents are going to be working and, and may not be able to make it. I think we've got a caller.
Oh, good.
Caller, go ahead. Go ahead, caller.
Hello, Mike. This is Austin.
Hey,
I was calling to commend your choice of guest tonight, our outstanding school board representative, Frances Rosales. I hope she's keeping you straight.
She is, man. She's staying on. She said I forgot the name of my school. I didn't forget the name of my school. What are you talking about?
Well, I apologize, but there was something that happened that day. I guess we'll keep it between you and I.
No, I know what it is. You got your feelings hurt because I didn't recognize the school board members. Yeah, y'all
nothing
did.
to do with that.
You're like, you forgot about us. I'm like, okay.
No, that wasn't it either. I'll remind you after the show.
I forgot. But anyways, thank you, Chairman Austin Maxwell, for calling in. I just wanted to get your, I thought we would get into the soldier's child license plate and the Jeep license plates, and I really want to get you and the GOP involved. Darryl Mackin, he's got to sell 1,000 of those plates. He sold 100.
Wow.
And he went back and tweaked the plate. It's on the new image is on my Facebook, Austin, if you've seen it. He's got the M16 and the helmet and the boots that'll be part of the specially licensed plate. But the Jeep license plate, if folks aren't familiar with it, it's called Explore Tennessee with an image of a Jeep. Wendy Lloyd helped with that. It was her kind of brainstorm, and she agreed to partner with Social. That's $80,000 a year. That's not taxpayer money that is benefiting a soldier's child based in Smyrna. So if we can get the other plate sold, I don't think it's going to be as popular as a Jeep plate, but he really needs some help with that. And I know you're passionate about military areas.
Give me a call. Let's see what we can do to get the word out. You're only talking 1,000 plates. I think and it's a wonderful organization, a soldier's child.
It really is. You've heard me talk about my friend Freddie Hahn that was killed in Iraq.
Yep.
His son has spent many camps over there, and you think of the post-traumatic stress.
Mm-hmm.
This even affects families. Sadly, Spencer was only 4 when his dad was killed in Iraq. So if folks are interested in that, you can find Darryl Mackin on Facebook, A Soldier's Child. But I knew you and Claire could chime in on the letter grade and some of the other challenges that our fast-growing county is faced with.
Thank you, Austin. Those really sweet words of you that you said about me. So
You're doing a great job, Frances. I'm a big fan, and you and Josh, are just great people and do a great job, and some great ideas that you brought forth. Such as the training for substitute teachers.
Yes.
Around what to do in a really bad situation. That's going down. So just keep up the good fight, stick to your principles, and Mike, thanks for all you do.
Well, thank you. A lot of people may not see I've seen a lot of other side of you. I mean, if you look at you, you know, you look like a pretty mean, tough guy. You know, if you see Austin, I mean, I wouldn't want to have
so
to.
mean,
I wouldn't want to
Austin.
have to tackle with you. But you do have a heart, and you and I have talked about reaching minorities, reaching females, and you do have a passion of, you know, the Republican Party being a big tent, and some of these issues of mental health, childhood trauma, addiction. You know, you and Claire both care deeply about this, and I'll be honest with you, I run across a lot of people that they don't care. I'll just be straight up with you. You and your wife care. You care deeply, and it's personal to y'all because you've lived, you know, with the loss of your son.
It's personal to us. It's personal to, you know, people on the county commission like Craig Harris.
Yes.
You know, it's government cannot solve, you know, everything. Government can help, but it takes, you know, people in our community and organizations in our community working together and hitting all the buttons to really try and address, you know, some of the challenges that are out there.
Yeah.
You know, it's just one component of it. But, you know, you have to care and you have to be willing to put forth and help your fellow man. But, Mike, I'm going to run. I just want to call in and give a shout-out to Francis, give a shout-out to you. And I know you got a busy session coming up in January, so
yes,
hopefully we can connect between now and then and talk about all the good stuff that you guys are doing up there.
Well, thank you. And thank you, Claire, for letting me know your thoughts earlier, okay?
Well,
all
thank
right.
you, guys.
We'll see you later.
We'll see you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thank you. You know, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Most people know that their insurance can provide them with coverage for the many life's mishaps, but I can help you also unlock discounts, save money, and get benefits with Farmers Insurance policy perks. Whether we're discussing home or auto insurance, I am here to help you understand these great perks. Call me, Mark Lewis, at 615-625-7070 for a quote, and you can get a whole lot of something with Farmers policy perks.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
Not available in every state. Only available at select Farmers branded policies underwritten by Farmers Truck or Fire Insurance Exchanges or affiliate.
Dr. Automotive Auto Repair and Maintenance Mechanic Shop Garage provides car owners in Smyrna, Murfreesboro, Laverne, and the Middle Tennessee area with excellent auto repair services. Deep-rooted experience in serving both foreign and domestic automobiles allows for proper diagnosis in a timely manner. Check them out online at autorepairsmyrna.com, call them at 615-220-0971, or stop on in at 1205 Hazelwood Drive in Smyrna.
AFFI is Middle Tennessee's premier choice for pest, wildlife, and moisture control. They specialize in those difficult and unique cases. You can reach them by phone at 615-300-2395. That's 615-300-2395. Or stop in at 200 Glenrose Lane in Smyrna.
My wife and I enjoy going by Yard Sale Inc. We usually go to both locations, the one in Smyrna as well as the one in Murfreesboro. A lot of times on Saturday mornings we stop by, and their inventory changes weekly, so you never know what you're going to see, and it's mostly open box. The name fits it. It's exactly that. It's a yard sale. If you don't totally agree with the price, the staff is always friendly and nice and willing to work with you.
That's the Yard Sale Store in Smyrna at 111 Enon Springs Road West, in Murfreesboro at 204 South Front Street, and online at bestdealintown.com.
Hi, this is Allie Dowenhauer with Isaiah 117 House. Isaiah 117 House provides physical and emotional support for children awaiting foster care placement here in Rutherford County. We are changing the way foster care begins, and those kiddos are brought to our house to hang out and wait for a foster family, and they're given everything they need. We support foster children, DCS, and foster families here in Rutherford County. Visit us at www.isaiah117house.com or visit our Facebook page, Isaiah 117 House, Rutherford County.
Looking for adventure in whatever comes our way. Yeah, darling, go make it happen. Take the world in a loving embrace. Fire all of your guns at once and explode into space. I like smoking lightning, heavy metal thunder.
All right, we're back. We're back, Rutherford Magazine Show. That music was not my choice. That was your school board member, Francis Rosellas, that wanted to play that. I asked her what song, and I was thinking some kind of Christian music, and then she wants to play that. Anyways.
I like a little bit of rock and roll.
That's good.
Hey, I like 80s metal bands, Metallica.
Do you really?
Oh, yes. Guns N' Roses.
And you're on the school board?
You're on the
school board. Shameful. Hey, go on. Let's talk a little bit
in the car
about.
listening to One by Metallica.
Yeah. Well, I'm just very versatile when it comes to music.
You know, speaking of how serious the mental health issue is, you've heard me share this letter, and I've shared it on the air. I've shared it at the Tennessee General Assembly, shared it in education. I've shared it so much it probably gets on people's nerves, and I do it on purpose just to let them realize how serious this is. You know, my assistant and I, Marvin, put a town hall together, an opioid mental health town hall. 3 years ago. It may be going on 4 years now. Time is just going by so fast. We did it at Parkway Baptist Church, and our pastor, Jeremy, goes to church with me. He agreed to for us to host it there, and Dr. Brian Terry was there. The late Commissioner Steve Irwin, sadly, he passed away. He was with Rutherford County Drug Court. I think we had Judge Tidwell there, both school superintendents, Senator White with us, and others, Bill Ketchrin. And I asked the late Dr. Linda Gilbert, and she was an icon in Rutherford County, okay? You know, here's what, and I asked her, I said, Dr. Gilbert, I said, if there's one thing we can do, like what is, because, you know, the issues are so overwhelming. I just said, just give me one thing that we could do. One thing. Because, you know, you get inundated with 50 and you can't do 50. So just give me 1 or 2 or 3. Okay. Here's what she sent me, this email after the event. It was well attended. The media covered it really well. I remember several people who had lost a child was there. One little girl, well, say little girl, young mother. She looked like she was probably 35. She had a little portrait of her son, and he was not, I guess, like 18, 19, passed away with, I guess it was fentanyl overdose. And she put the picture down, kind of like she wasn't supposed to. I said, no, ma'am, hold the little picture up again. Let's see your son, you know. But here's what she sent me. Here's the letter from the late Dr. Linda Gilbert. Mike, good evening. I apologize for being so delayed in responding. Please thank Representative Sparks for reaching out. Yes, more funding for counselors would certainly help with the social emotional issues we're seeing. Another area is social workers. They're vital, and many school districts aren't able to fund them. I also think it would be very helpful for him and other legislators to talk with school superintendents about the issues we're seeing in very young children. And this is what's critical. This is what I try to emphasize. Here's what she goes on to say. We as a society should be really alarmed at what, this is a 50-year educator. She knew more about education than any lawmaker in the state of Tennessee, I can promise you. Here's what she says. The behaviors of our 6 to 9-year-olds are like nothing we have ever seen before. I'm going to say it again. The behaviors of our 6 to 9-year-olds are like something we've never seen before. They are inordinately disruptive and aggressive. And we are bringing all our resources into play. There's no place for these children to go and be assessed and treated. I feel very good about what the Department of Education is trying to accomplish in the area with this emphasis on the whole child. The whole child, not part of the child, but the whole child. She said, I'm hopeful the Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse will work alongside them to address the upper tier of children who there seems to be no answers. Thanks again, Linda. Sadly, she passed away just weeks, it may have been a month after, and she passed away. So I've shared that letter. You know, sometimes as a conservative, I feel like there's some pushback when you talk about counselors, social, emotional issues. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and we're talking about school and how things have changed. And I said, did you have anybody that like talked to you at school, like a career path? And he said, yeah, I remember one guy, a shop teacher, talked to him. He remembers that guy distinctively. And I remember my shop teacher, Mr. Bailey. We had good teachers, but it's a different day to day, you know. And I put that letter on Facebook. You know, some people come back and say, we need to bring back paddling. You know, hear that from a few people. I agree. You know, some people don't like it, you know, but the irony with me, is everybody that paddled me were my favorite teachers. And I knew that they cared. Don Odom paddled me for skipping school. He was our former school superintendent. And in fact, he was the counterpart with the late Dr. Linda Gilbert. But, we've really got to reach these young people. And I don't know where the answer is.
Yeah, I agree. And something that I've heard this letter multiple times, but something that really stuck out this time around when I heard it, even though I've heard it numerous times, is the part where she said that she's seen more behavior from 6 to 9 year olds.
Yeah.
And I have to agree with that because about a few months ago, I had asked our special education, Dr. Amy Roston, to look at the data of where behavior is coming, like where just look at just an overview about behavior and things that are resulting in kids going to alternative schools and discipline and all that. Well, it was shocking to say the least, because when the data came back, and this was presented before the whole board, by the way.
Yeah.
A lot of our behavior issues were in the elementary schools.
Yeah.
And because of that, we started making some great strides and changes in adding more behavior intervention coaches. We've got a calming room, things of that nature. But you're right, there's more things going on in the child when they're younger, I will say, that is manifesting in that behavior. And we don't know what these kids' home life is like.
Yeah.
We don't know if they're in a stable environment or if it's very dysfunctional. We don't know if they're being abused. We don't know if their parents are they're addicts, or they're homeless, or we just don't know. And so when the kid comes into the school and they're in this structured environment where they're getting no structure at all at home, it's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
But we're just seeing a lot more behavior really coming from our younger kids. And it's just really sad. And I feel like school should be a safe haven for these kids when they can come and take a break from what they think is normal, but really it's not normal. And then maybe their compass of right and wrong is a little bit offset. Yeah. And so who's there to guide them and teach them to say this is right and this is wrong, and you need to learn how to make better choices when you're angry, how to regulate your behavior and still make a good choice. So there's a lot that's going on.
Well, this week our gun safe tax exemption went into effect permanent, and you probably know the story behind that. I went to the governor personally and said, hey, will you make this part of your legislation during special session? It's the best bill to be presented. And conservatives like it because it's a tax cut. Others like it because it is some gun safety issue of locking up firearms. Just this week, a Smyrna patrol car had their gun stolen. Mm-hmm. The Nashville had it on. So that's how close to home this hits. And I thought Mark Brassfield was going to join me, but he's hunting with his son right now. And Mark's excited for it. It naturally helps his business, and he's a gun safety advocate. But it's a different day today. I mean, look at the Covenant School shooting that we had. What can we do to intervene with that person's life? Because that's a mental. And here's what's so sad is the whole narrative. If you notice, nobody mentioned that girl's name during the special session. Nobody mentioned hardly about mental health. It was all to be an attacking about guns. Mm-hmm. And it's like, how do we prevent the next school shooting? Because it's not a question of if we're going to have one, it's when
we're going to have one. Absolutely. And I have to agree with you.
And I appreciate y'all had a meeting. Mm-hmm. And it was about addressing school safety and just the amount of money that the taxpayers are having to fork over for that. Mm-hmm.
Well, we just live in a different time. And who will have thought that this is something that we will have to worry about? Is keeping our schools safe. But I have to agree with you that it's not just the gun. That's one issue. But the other issue is the person who's holding the gun in their hand and pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
What's going on in their mentally?
Yeah, how do you
that
catch
is
that
getting them
before that?
right?
You know?
And that you're absolutely right. We've got to figure
And that's where
out
that
how to do
interventionist person could have possibly helped. You know, I met with those families. A lot of people wouldn't meet with them. I met with them, and they asked. They said, "Can we pray with you?" We're at the special capital. Now they weren't the parents I met with. They didn't have a child killed, but they knew the families, and
That's so sad.
and it's worrisome. You know, I don't want to see that happen.
I
anywhere.
don't either. But one thing that Kim or Sexton, the Speaker of the House, came down to Rutherford County for a fundraiser for Tim Rudd, Representative Tim Rudd, and he spoke about what was going to happen in the special session, and he was saying that I thought you wanted to say something.
No.
Oh, I gotta get closer to the mic. Oh, okay. Yeah. He was saying that one of the problems that they're having, because people are saying, oh, well, not everyone should have a gun or whatever. Well, he was saying that it was going to be really difficult to implement something like that because of the databases and the way that they have to connect with the registry and then some other system to kind of filter that. And so I know there's been some conversations that are happening and going on, but it's a bigger problem to fix than people imagine it not to be.
Yeah.
But you're right. We need to do some kind of intervention. If a person is crying out for help and saying, help, I'm at a crisis, there has to be a way for there to be intervention of some sort before it's too late.
Yeah. This week, going back again on coincidences, and I think it was Einstein said coincidences are God's way of remaining anonymous. And I happened to call Bill Ketchern, MTSU, this week, and I'm trying to get my instructor. I'm in a marketing class, digital media marketing. So a lot of these students are really sharp. My professor is kind of like a TikTok kind of influencer, I guess. He's got like a huge following, like 2 million people.
Oh wow, that's pretty good.
And it is pretty.
That's all, I don't even have TikTok.
Pretty ironic. Well, I don't either. So he doesn't have
he
Facebook.
has more than I do.
Well, you know, we voted in the General Assembly to where they can't use, you know, the higher ed couldn't use the TikTok and on the state resources.
China.
Yeah, China.
That's why I don't have TikTok.
So here's the irony. He does TikTok but doesn't do Facebook. He don't trust Facebook.
Okay.
But anyways, I'm trying to get him to interview the students. We got some sharp young ladies and guys in there, and talk about decompressing and how do they see mental health in the digital world, and so he hadn't heard back from the administration. So I even emailed or texted a few people, and I hadn't heard back from them. So I called Bill. I said, look, man, you got to get with the administration. I mean, we need to know something, because I'm at the point I'm telling my instructor, just do it. Don't wait on the administration. Well, he's worried about his job. I'm like, just do it. Just let's get it done. Don't wait on them, because it's so serious. And here's what is strange. Call Bill. Alice Rowley calls me while I'm on the phone with Bill.
Oh.
And I was telling her this. She brought up Center Stone. She brought up the crisis number 988. And Alice, I'm gonna tell you, man, that girl, she needs to be Commissioner of Education. I mean,
yeah.
Or she may be governor one day. That you talk about a lady that's impressive.
She is very impressive.
She worked
I've
for
met
Randy
her.
Boyd, Bob Corker, ECD, Bill Haslam, Lamar Alexander, really sharp. So she just happened to call me. Hey, Mike, you know, what's going on? Catching up. You know, my assistant Marvin helped her for a while, got her in second place, you know, from 13. And so
we did too. Latinas for Tennessee helped her
oh,
too.
yeah. Okay. Well, all of a sudden, Bill, I'm telling this to Bill. We hang up. Alice calls me, talking to Alice. Bill calls me back. Guess what he says?
What did he say?
He said, Mike, there was a suicide this morning on campus.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
What is the coincidence of that?
Wow.
Now, I heard
scary.
somebody comment, well, it was a contract worker. It's still a person.
Yeah.
Somebody took their own life, and that's somebody's kid, that's somebody's father, cousin.
Wow.
On campus.
That's so sad.
That goes to show, confirms the seriousness of the problem.
It is a problem, and we need to confront it and not be scared of it. And and say we have a problem, and it's pretty it's prevalent.
Well, y'all have a system, I guess, the app where students can
The Raptor?
interact with.
No, that's totally different.
There's a school safety app. I
Yeah,
guess, that students have
the
access to.
Raptor, but that's not
Okay.
for the students. That's for the administration.
Well, do y'all
school.
have signage in the school in the hallways?
Yes, for if kids that are need help,
If you
like a
see
hotline.
something, say something?
Yes,
Okay.
there is. We do have that, and that was something that our team did really well. Patty and Sean, they helped put that together and kind of push it throughout those schools where we have a way to submit things of threats or if we see something imminent danger that is anonymous that anybody can really use,
Yeah.
not just the teachers but the students, really for the students.
Yeah.
And then now, I don't know if you know this, Mike, but we passed a resolution last week that Representative Stevens is going to be carrying it for us, and that is for kids who do submit threats for shootings at schools, that they will get a stiffer penalty for that repercussion, and that's they may be losing their license.
Yeah.
So and even I think they're going to take it a step. And Robert Stevens is the representative. Robert Stevens is going to be taking it a step further and even changing the charge from a misdemeanor to a felony. And it's just really hard to hear. It's so sad that we're having to do this kind of things right now just to have prevention as a way to prevent these catastrophic events.
Yeah.
Because it's horrific if
Well,
it
you got to think but it goes back to mental health.
It does.
I mean, if somebody's going to threaten anybody,
there's
that's a mental
something
health
going
issue
on.
there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I
let's
agree.
address it before we make them.
Absolutely.
You ruin their life by giving them a felony.
Absolutely.
This is what irritates me with the General Assembly. This is what irritates me with my party. They're all about inventing new laws, and those new laws are going to cost the taxpayers money. But you go have a bill like I did, freezing the sheriff and the top officials' pay raise. You know how much support I had on that?
Nothing.
Zero. That bill would have saved $20 million, by the way,
wow.
if it would have been implemented. You know who fought me on it?
Who?
Taxpayer-funded lobbyists. People don't see the dark side that I see.
Yeah. Well, that's another problem is that we've got
My mental health bill.
that-
My mental health bill. Those lobbyists are probably listening right now. They got the most powerful lobbyists fighting my mental health bill.
Oh, really? Wow.
I think it's great. Because watch when I pass it. I have all this coming against me, and it's going to pass.
Oh, good.
That's the one I share with the governor, but the governor, I hate it when we'll take it on. But it will pass if those lobbyists are listening. We're going to pass that psych bed bill.
Oh,
but
good.
here's how serious this is Trey Hargett and I, the Secretary of State, we were meeting with the hospital. They may not like me sharing this, but I'm going to share it. It's full transparency. We were meeting at Stonecrest. And I like Stonecrest, and meet Lou Caputo. And Lou says, Mike, we've added 16 ER beds, and all of them are full.
Wow.
And it's all mental health. We need relief. All right, here's what remember, this is the CEO. We need relief. Our beds are full. It's mental health. All of a sudden, I get asked to carry a bill that would offer relief. Kind of coincidental, kind of like that gun safe bill. Got asked to carry that, and I went to Kyle Yorlet's funeral. He was gunned down with a stolen gun, and then I got asked to carry that bill. But the fiscal note on that Kyle Yorlet murder, that's $1.5 million to the taxpayers. Those two young kids, 15, 16, we're going to pay $1.5 million, and then you'll have people that don't want to invest in counselors, but they don't see the big picture, which is the $1.5 million. Our prison budget has increased $600 million.
Wow.
This is why I want to start cussing. This is why I want to drop some big F-bombs on the radio, but I've talked to Bart. I'm not going to do it. But this is where it gets you upset because you see your world going to hell and you see people that really don't seem to care. And I know there's people that do care, like Austin said, Craig Harris, and I know there's some good county commissioners and others that do care about these issues. But all those lobbyists fighting me on that issue, all my bill does is updates the portal system, the bed portal system, meaning that hospital beds, if there's a Rolling Hills has an opening, they would update it. They'd update it daily, rather than drag their feet and update it a month or two later. But here's the crux of this matter, and don't get mad at me sharing this. It's they're picking winners and losers. Who's got insurance? We'll take you. If you don't have insurance, you're just SOL. You know what that means? SOL?
Yeah.
Okay. You're just crap out of luck. But how we address that? It's a labor shortage. We don't have enough nurses. We don't have enough psych folks. Nobody really wants to go into that field. And that's why, I mean, if we don't get this under control in 5 years, folks, you think we've got problems now with 2 cops in Laverne being shot and a police patrol car being broke into? You give it 5 years and you see more of these problems.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really concerning for me. Government's not the way. Yeah, we can tweak some things, but this country's got to get back to some basics, man.
Well, I was just going to share a story that happened in the schools. There was a crisis with a little boy who had a crisis of wanting to almost suicidal.
Oh, wow.
And there was nothing that we could provide at all except for to call his mom.
Yeah.
And so we called the parent. Now, we don't know if after he went home with his parent, if he's gotten therapy of some sort. We have no idea. But I think the school is a little bit stuck in the sense that when a child is at a crisis and it's suicidal, we don't have tools to help the child right then and the mother right then in that moment, except for picking up the phone and calling the parent. And I think
she may not have. See, that if you go back and study this issue, Phil Williams, Channel 5, kind of covered this on that Kyle Yorlett murder. He was killed with a stolen gun.
Wow.
And my argument is if the gun would have been locked up, he'd be alive today. Kyle was a young musician. Those 2 young kids, the mom, if you go back and study the issue, just Google Kyle Yorlett, Phil Williams. The mother tried to get help, you know, and she couldn't. There was the system failed her. But here's what I don't think people see this from a macroeconomic perspective. If the prison budget has amassed to $1.2 billion, it's increased $600 million since I got elected.
Wow.
People don't realize what it costs, and it costs more money to incarcerate a juvenile than it does an adult. But that's about $30,000.
Wow.
And odds are, if that kid's behaving like this now, there's some serious problems.
Yep, and that's the thing that people say, that if you detect issues when they're young and you intervene and get some kind of prevention, then it'll keep it from him developing something even serious.
Well, I think a lot of it goes back with mentors. I mean, you know, people have heard me brag on Sally Wall. She was the first female police chief in the state. You know, she was next door. I consider her a mentor. Major Wall is a mentor. And I had a guy make comment to me. He says, you know, you think if she wouldn't have been in your life, you think you could have went on the wrong track? I said, I never really thought about it, but yeah, I could have been. You got to have somebody there. Teachers are usually that conduit to touch your life. You've probably got 2 teachers you can think of off the top of your head, can't you, Jeremy?
Oh, yeah.
In fact, who? Name them.
Well, there's.
You didn't have Mr. Rakes, did you?
No, I didn't.
He went at your school.
No.
Yeah.
Well, no, like I didn't have him as the head principal, but I had his I'm not gonna say disciple, but like
proteges.
Proteges, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's something
my sister had Principal Rakes when she was at Smyrna.
Mr. Rakes was tough. I mean, he busted my tail. You've heard me share it, and busted my tail. And it wasn't my fault, but 2 different occasions.
Yeah.
But I always remember him walking up to me in the hallway and put his arm up on my shoulder. He says, "Sparks, I always heard you, very polite young man." And those are, I call them words of affirmation. You know, if you ever study the book, The 5 Love Languages, that's real, you know. But we all need mentors and encouragement. Give you the final word. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much for having me here to speak a little bit about education, and I hope I can come back and share even more. And thank you for your time.
I know it's a tough job.
It
is. It really is. I appreciate you stepping up and serving. Thank y'all. We'll see you next week.